11th. Please stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Bill Carlos, Second Ward.
Joe Conti, Third Ward.
Stefan Krakauer, Fifth Ward.
Ann Schurshin, Sixth Ward.
Todd Tancredi, Supervisor.
Michael Zafone, Fourth Ward.
Alicia Salvatore, Town Clerk.
Jim Nelson, attorney for the town.
Okay, we have one item on our agenda tonight. It's a presentation by Bob Baxter, and Mr. Baxter has an idea for a three-lot subdivision off Cedar Avenue where there currently is one large home that is vacant, has been vacant for some time. So we thought it was best to have him come in, explain to us and to the residents what he has in mind. I have one resident who emailed me a few questions, but we'll see, Bob, if you answer them during the course of your presentation, that'll be fine. And we'll give the residents an opportunity if they have some questions once you're finished explaining what you'd like to do and what your plans would be to ask any questions they have. So why don't you come on up?
Okay, well, first of all, I hope I don't disappoint.
You got it. Sit down and talk to the microphone.
Okay, Bob Baxter. I hope I don't disappoint everybody. I don't really have much of a presentation.
Well, what you'll have to do is, note where the lot is,
Right.
What exists there now, and what your plans would be in terms of changing it, and just to give the board
Certainly.
an update and the residents as well. And you'll have to, we record our meetings and they are televised live
Okay.
to part of the town. So just if you speak into the mic, the residents
Okay.
can pick you up on the
Very good.
on the TVs.
We were approached by one of the banks that took that property back in foreclosure. As probably most of the people, I know the neighbors, I'm sure, have watched that go on for years, and now it sits in disrepair. We're in the process of purchasing that from the bank. Our intent would be to go ahead and try to, that used to be a three-lot subdivision. One was at the bottom and two more at the top. What we would prepare to do or propose to do is go in and further subdivide the three at the top.
How many acres is the
It's
lot right now?
It's presently 4.1 acres, so that it.
And that's the lot that this, what is it, an 8,000 square foot partially constructed home sits on?
Yes, it was once a home up there. I believe he bought it, tore a lot of it apart, started recreating it. It's finished to the point where there's a roof on most of it. It's raw framing. Some of the electric is done on the inside, but he had an architect that did a glorious plan for somebody, but I mean, the certain plan, you would walk through a study to get to a library, to get to a sports room. I mean, I don't really know the use of a lot of the rooms that were there, so we'd probably try to either tear part of it off the home or resurrect something or come up with a viable solution to use that what is constructed partially there and then create two more higher-end homes on the property. I think in the Spack-and-Kill district and on this property, I think those houses would be a good help and a good addition both to the town and to the school district. Spack-and-Kill is still a desirable school district, and as my daughter will tell you, she's just moved out of her City Poughkeepsie home, and she may be one of the residents in one of the homes up there.
Now, what square footage are you thinking for the homes you'd like to construct if this plan went forward?
Well, first of all, I would try to go ahead and market those maybe to a 3,500, 4,000 square foot home. I think for what we're going to have to pay for this property, to get three lots out of it, you're going to need to probably put a $100,000 price tag on a lot, which is still a a fair price on a lot that has water, and we'll be able to tie the sewer system into that property, so it will have sewer and water on those properties.
One of the neighbors is that they'd be septic tanks, so you are going to be able to tie into the sewer system?
Yeah, in our last meeting with the town, the sewer system is right at the bottom
Yeah,
of the
it is at the bottom,
driveway.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that would be the proposal, to bring it up and eliminate the one septic system that's there and bring sewer line and everything up there.
And the driveway that exists there now would remain, it would have to be some type of shared driveway with the three
Yes,
homes.
it would be
won't be a
nothing,
town
it would be
road.
nothing that the town would have to take
Right.
over. We would be responsible for the maintenance and upkeep and plowing of that
Okay.
road. Similar to it's right across the street. I think they have something similar to that, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, and-
Levine's.
At the end of my street too, they have something too, where you have
Right.
two neighbors sharing one driveway, but it's not as long as
Right.
that driveway. That's a significant driveway. And obviously, I don't think the soccer field is going to be allowed to stay there. The soccer field will have to go.
Soccer field and tennis courts, I'm going to assume that that's part of the reason there was a substantial tax burden on that property. He went ahead and made a very nice soccer field for somebody. If anybody wants to buy a soccer field, I know you can buy one cheap. It's AstroTurf, and
No.
maybe we'll donate it to the school district or something like that,
Big
so.
on a truck.
No,
Lap sacks, yeah.
unbelievable.
It's all like rubber membrane.
It's,
Yeah.
And of course, the concern of the Kimlin Court side, the houses that back up to it, is that you have adequate buffering. And also unfortunately, Rakoff took down a lot of trees, I think for the soccer field.
probably.
So, yeah, putting
Well,
some more wooding along.
What I've tried to do is I've had Joe Berger, professional engineer, he went ahead and drew 3 lots on, just to show how it would work and how it meets zoning and planning and et cetera here, that, and there is a section of trees, one would be buffered into the trees, the other is at the other end, down actually where the tennis court or soccer field is, so that is gone, and so it shouldn't impact anybody, especially with the Berlin Wall up there.
Now, that's a good question. I know some of the residents are probably wondering about that. This is the infamous wall that was
Right.
put up. What would your plans be? Would it be to have that wall remain or tear some of it down, part of it down,
I
What do you
believe that,
envision?
most of the neighbors at this point have seen the wall, and speaking with the few that I have, they're actually at this point satisfied with the wall. We could certainly talk to them, and would have to be something that would be discussion, but I think not seeing what's in their their backyards border these houses, and I think it gives them the privacy
Especially the homes
that.
on Cedar Pond you're
Sure.
referring to, right? Yeah.
Actually, on the next street over, Dr. Shaw.
Kimlin Court.
Cedar Pond Lane it backs right up to his house, so I think the wall being there gives him a little bit more privacy, and it would, we could certainly, if they wanted a section of that opened up and they wanted another type of fencing, but I think that's going to give him the most privacy that we could offer at this
And
point.
the only access to these 3 lots would be off Cedar Avenue,
Yeah.
the current driveway.
Yes, it would be
Yeah.
off Cedar Avenue, and obviously by taking the soccer fields down, it would get rid of I guess there's big spotlights down there, and I went over and took a walk through it today. There's a lot of critters living in there, raccoons.
Yeah, it's part of
Yeah.
the issue, I think. Any questions from the town board members?
And the only other thing too is the pool has to be addressed, because right now it has a porous tarp and it's flooded. So it's creating mosquito habitat
Right.
too, and it's
Well,
a
well,
pest in the neighborhood. So it either has
certainly
to-
all the property would be totally revamped and
Yeah.
with a certain plan, and and the plan is, it's not it's to do a nice job.
Yeah.
I mean, I think most of us, if you've ever been or seen some of the properties that we've done, I think we've got a reputation of doing the right thing, and we've done many projects in the town, both residential and commercial, and
And this property is zoned for residential.
Yes, it is, and that's what
use.
it is. It's certainly
Yeah.
residential. I'm not interested in a apartment building or group
No.
homes or anything like that, no.
And it'll be single-family homes, three
Three
single-family homes.
yes.
What's the address for somebody that might be listening that doesn't?
It's 132.
132
to Cedar
Cedar
Avenue.
Avenue. It's right
I know
next to
where
the
it is, but
cider
I
mill.
just, in case
Sure,
somebody wanted to-
understood.
listening.
Anything else from the town board members? Any questions from anyone in the audience? Sure, Doctor. Come on up and, sure, speak into the mic and,
He's already asked me to play him with tennis next door.
I'm Dr. Shah. I live on 20 Cedar Pond Lane. And my house is the nearest to that big house.
okay.
So my questions were, number one was the wall. I would personally like the wall to stay.
Okay.
Now, let me make it clear. Is it going to be, I call that big house, current big house, that plus two more
Yes,
or plus three more?
2 more.
So total of 3 houses.
Correct.
What is going to happen to the big house?
At this point, I don't have a good answer for you. If I could go ahead and architecturally revamp that to try to downsize it a little bit, that would probably be the desired direction. But the plan is to try to create something with that, to knock all that down just to create a lot, doesn't really make a lot of sense if we can save part of it.
How structurally sound is it? Because, I mean, it wasn't wrapped up tight when the workmen
It's-
walked off.
it's
I mean, there's
actually-
areas you can see are exposed and weathered.
There's area, I was in there today with snow melt and so forth. There's a few spots, like on the chimneys that are dripping down through, but there is a roof on it for the most part that's in good shape. Structurally inside, I mean, there's plenty of steel and heavy beams. I'm sure, what I would do is I'd probably sit down with our building inspector, walk through it. I'd like to find out who had done some of the, like, electric and plumbing, and try to bring those people back involved, because I'm sure there was a lot of people that were hurt
Oh, yeah.
when the,
Yeah,
this
when
project was built. They weren't paid or whatever, so I'd like to give those people an opportunity first to take a look and see if they could help out and finish whatever gets done, as well as the other 2 homes.
That big house will definitely remain a single family
Yes.
home. Okay.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned about the swimming pool.
Yes.
See, I have a big concern. 2 things. Number one is the mosquito breeding ground. And the other, if you're sitting there in the spring and summer, the frogs. I mean, they
yeah.
make so much noise that you cannot listen to music. I mean, it's very disturbing,
That's in the swimming pool?
the swimming pool.
Well, that,
So as soon as you buy it, or as soon as the snow melts, if somebody could drain it below the cover level, or give me permission and I'll go take a long wire
I will
and drain it out,
certainly do it, yes.
just below the level. So, I mean, it will need to be drained anyways. Hasn't been used
Should
for
be, yeah.
Oh.
7-8 years.
Yeah.
I guess most of the other things you have answered, so that's all I had. And I have no objection to it being converted, because right now it's a mess.
Thank you, Dr. Shaw.
Yeah.
And just to reiterate, Bob, your plan would be for the 2 additional lots, they would be 1 acre or
1 acre
more.
plus, yes.
So all 3 lots would be 1 acre or more?
Yes.
Okay. 1 acre and above. Any bouts? Yes, sir.
Sir.
Give it right back to you.
How you doing?
We met earlier today.
Yes.
Hi.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Ahmed Al-Madi.
Hi, how are
I
you?
live in the same 130 Cedar Avenue, 128 Cedar Avenue.
Okay.
I live inside the fence. I'm the only house.
You're the raised ranch?
Yeah,
Okay,
inside
in the front? Okay.
Yeah, I like the wall to stay,
Okay.
and I have a question about the gates, because there is 2 gates now. 1 gate for you, 1 gate for me. Your gate is electric. Is it gonna stay electric or we're gonna make it, how we gonna do the gates?
I would assume right now there's a touchpad control to get in there. I would assume I'd probably keep it the same way unless, I could certainly discuss whatever way it works best for you, or I could add a fence down the other inside, or if you're comfortable with it open, we leave it open.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't really matter.
I like it more private,
Okay.
the same way it is.
Sure.
It is, it to be opened by remote control from inside.
Right.
From the three houses.
Yes.
They will have access to that. Okay, my other concern is the driveway. The driveway is too long. Are you gonna make it two-way or gonna leave it like that?
It's too,
Like make it more wide?
no, the plan would be to keep it the same size as it is unless, in talking with the town, if they have some concerns or fire trucks. We have to, number one, make it so that it's safe. So if any emergency vehicles can get up, turn around up there and get back. But it's a straight run. I wouldn't foresee having to do anything to widen it.
Okay, I would like the existing mansion to stay, to do remodeling to it.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll get, a good customer from the city or something. Buy it for 4 or 5 million.
Well,
I like the way this man thinks.
He may know somebody. Be quiet up there.
The renting, as a condo in the town, in the city, condos like for 5 minutes.
Right.
So when come here to a big mansion like that was, have own.
They would get a lot of value for their dollar.
Yeah, yeah, I know.
Well, we would certainly advertise that as such. We'd be gladly finish it and whatever it would be, rather than, if I could sell that to one person and complete it, it'd be good, certainly.
Okay.
I just
The
don't know
last thing,
how viable.
I'm glad that you coming to do that because we suffer a lot of wild animals.
Yes.
I see by my eye a lot of raccoons and foxes
Right.
and
Yeah.
coyotes. So it's gonna be a very good thing.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. Sir?
My name is Jack Goodman. I live at 115 Cedar Avenue. I thoroughly support any effort to make this abandoned property a useful place. I came a little late, so I don't know if this was mentioned, but for those who were around when Dr. Faisal built that house, that property was approved for 3 houses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been told that
You know that?
years
Yeah.
ago, yeah.
And because of some political issues, only one was built.
Okay.
But in order to make that property more desirable, I think the town of Poughkeepsie has to address some serious issues. One is potholes on Cedar Avenue that would swallow a car. There's no gas line on Cedar Avenue. There's no sewer on Cedar Avenue. And I think the time has come to get all those things in place so that people want to come to Cedar Avenue to live. Now, he may be able to tie into an existing a sewer line, but the rest of us don't have sewer, and there's no gas. And in spite of the fact that several of us have approached Central Hudson to put in a gas line, they have not been responsive. So I'd like to see it happen.
I would
I'd like to
certainly
do whatever we
support
can
that.
do to make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Anyone else? Doreen?
Yeah, are there any wetlands, water bodies, water courses on the site?
No.
Okay, thank you.
AstroTurf.
Yeah.
Sir, come on up.
Hey, hello, I'm Paul Kozlowski. I live at 126 Cedar, so I'm right next door to Ahmed.
Okay.
So I'm on the wall on the Cedar Avenue side.
Yes.
Yes, I'd like to compliment, we'd like to keep the wall.
Okay.
The privacy that it affords is considered positive, and we're still trying to change the pathway of the deer, but that's going to take a while. The key question I have is regarding the tie-in to the sewer line, as Dr. Goodman addressed. When I bought there 13 years ago, there was a lot of discussion about the homes that are on Kimlin Court.
Okay.
When those were going to be finished on the other side of the cider mill. Oh, I'm sorry. When the homes that were supposed to be finished on the other side of the cider mill, there was always a discussion that the sewer line that's present there to the existing driveway would potentially have an opportunity for the three homes, that's the Richters, the Kozlowskis, and
Okay.
Ahmed, to be able to tie in. Because that construction never completed, that never occurred. So it'd be interesting to learn if there's opportunities, not necessarily that it has to happen, but if we could possibly consider tying in.
Just to comment on that, I mean, I would be more than willing to work with the neighbors to get the sewer line as long as the town has available capacity for
Yeah,
sewer
we
for
definitely have
these people.
capacity.
And,
How close is it to your property?
I believe
the
it's
property
right
you're
up to
interested
the
in?
driveway, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's right next to them.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, you should have the capability of tying in. I mean, there's a process to go through, but we have had other residents on Cedar Avenue down closer to
Right.
Spaggio tie into that line.
Okay, so when the plans are made more clear, it'd be
Certainly.
nice to find out if we
Sure.
could. We
Be
could
great
tap
for
in.
all the houses.
Yeah.
It would.
The last comment is, yes, we are in favor of having the property redone and having at least the three homes, and if it's resizing the one that's existing,
Right.
that we see as a positive to make use of that and bring more families into the area. So, and it sounds like the size of homes you're making are comparable to the area, so we maintain
Right.
the quality of life there, so.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
good, thank you for
Anybody
support.
else from the audience? Dr. Shaw? Sure, come on up.
I presume the houses will be no more than 2 stories high, ground floor and one more.
Right,
Yeah.
yes, that's a building code standard. You can't live in the third floor.
Yeah.
And just for any residents who may be watching, if there's questions that they have that haven't been addressed, if they want to email me or Ann, we can make sure Mr. Baxter gets those questions and we can respond to them if there's something that hasn't been discussed. So, all right.
Okay, thanks everybody
Thanks for
for your
being here
support.
tonight.
and,
Thanks to the
questions
residents.
and-
We'll continue
Residents,
to
thank
work
you,
on
and I
this.
appreciate makes a good neighborhood for everybody supportive like this. Very
Yeah.
nice, thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's go through our committee reports. Finance,
Finance?
Nothing to report.
Fire Advisory,
Nothing to report.
Government Ops,
Nothing to report.
Land Use and Planning,
Nothing to report.
Personnel,
Nothing to report.
Recreation,
Just recreation and seniors together. The senior,
hold on 1 minute. Let's just take a break, that's all.
it's noon, probably 30 or so. I'll wait for the senior center.
Okay, Jay, why don't you,
right.
senior and rec combined?
Yeah, just that next Wednesday, we'll be having the senior St. Patty's Day luncheon up at the senior center on Abe's Way. If there's still tickets available, you can contact the Recreation Department.
All right, thank you. Technology and Equipment
Sorry.
Nothing to report.
and Infrastructure?
Nothing to report.
I wanted to mention one thing. We've gotten a number of phone calls here at Town Hall. Evidently, there's a robocall that has gone out from who, I don't know, but basically it's aimed at any resident, but I think also a lot of seniors. And like I said, it's causing a lot of concern. And basically, the robocall tells individuals that they might be able to get some type of additional tax credit or tax reduction, and it's causing them to call Town Hall. And the only thing I want to let residents know is there isn't anything new that the town has put in place. The STAR, Basic STAR, veterans exemptions remain the same as they have in previous years. I think this is a robocall that's probably been generated because it's an election year. That would be my guess, but it's causing undue concern among residents. Certainly feel free to call Town Hall, but I just wanted to, we've gotten a lot of calls, and I wanted to make that
Yeah,
announcement.
actually, I received that call too, and it's about county taxes. that they claim there's supposed to be a large reduction in county taxes and to make sure you get.
Yeah, I don't think there's any
Reduction.
claim that's been made like that. That is what the robocall asserts. But
Don't give any of your personal information out.
Number.
don't give any
Right.
personal information, right?
Yeah, it didn't ask for any personal information, it just gave the town assessor's number
It's
like 3
causing,
times.
what the robocall, right, is creating is an extra real heavy burden on our receiver of taxes. Well, this time of year already has a heavy load, causing a lot of concern among residents, particularly seniors. And I just wanted to let them know there is no reason to be alarmed. The credits and the rebates that the state has put in place, regardless how you feel about those, we were under the tax cap. I think the county was under the tax cap. So if you're do a rebate, the state will be sending it whenever they get around to it.
Do we
So,
know who's sending this call?
I don't know. I don't know.
Hey, Todd, have you found anything else out about those newspapers? Remember that was, because I've actually noticed the last couple of days or weekends, tons more laying in the street, all over
Something new
people's,
the Journal's doing, throwing out a
throwing a thing out, and
flyer out.
I know it got stuck in my snow blower after
Oh.
somebody else.
I can fix that.
It's not broken.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's,
mean, they are
Retract that.
laying all over the
I
place.
actually had to pull one out for a lady who had hit one and it literally stopped the impeller.
yeah, I don't think it's a great idea, so hopefully they'll maybe rethink that.
Yeah.
So, anything else from the town board?
That's it.
Any comments from the audience? Yes? Come on up. You come up to the microphone, yep. Introduce yourself and speak on town issues. Welcome.
Adam Eichen,
Adam.
28 Terrace Lane.
Hi.
Then my peers here can introduce themselves as well.
Sure.
Christopher Clark, 405 Jocelyn House, Vassar
Hi,
College.
Christopher.
Sam Beckenhauer, 420 Jocelyn House.
Hi, Sam.
So I appreciate you guys for listening to us. So essentially, we're Vassar students, and there's an issue kind of recently. We're on campus. We're part of a group called Democracy Matters. It's nonpartisan. It's basically about pro-democracy issues, mostly dealing with kind of how do we make our system more representative? How do we make it, a little cleaner, et cetera, et cetera. And we were really kind of disconcerted with what happened in January, where the Speaker of the Assembly was convicted of, or not convicted yet, but
Charged.
a lot of money and graft, $6 million, and that would really kind of shook us because New York, the state politics is pretty corrupt. I think it's objectively the most. And so that really kind of, in talking to other students really made us, we really realized that I think one of the reasons why so many of our peers just don't care is really because every so often there are these people in the state, I'm not even talking federal government, but in the state who just get kicked out for the most egregious things. And so we were seeing that a lot of the apathy really comes from this issue. And so we were really intrigued about what is it that we can do to clean up government. And so we were doing some research into kind of what some of the responses were to this scandal, and one of which was in the New York State budget right now, there's campaign finance, Section 7, Part E, I think. It's a campaign finance resolution. And now I'm no big fan of Governor Cuomo, I will say that. But I was really intrigued by what's being proposed. I really was. And essentially what's being proposed is kind of a multi-layered kind of proposal that kind of seeks to both empower people back into politics, but also to kind of, put a little bit more disclosure and things like this to prevent anything like what happened. Hopefully, in some ways money is like water, it'll always find a leak. But that's no excuse not to do anything, there's always room to, just because it's a hole doesn't mean you don't try and cover it up. Exactly, you want to try and plug it the best you can, there's no excuse not to do anything. And so we were really intrigued by this, and the more and more we were looking about it, the more and more we were thinking, well, why isn't anything getting done? And so my peers here can talk a little more about kind of what this is, because I don't want to necessarily monopolize what we're talking about here. But one thing that we're really thinking about is how is it that places like, the town of Poughkeepsie and quite frankly the city of Poughkeepsie. This is something that the city of Poughkeepsie is also dealing with, and I'll make the kind of what we're considering. And essentially it's how do we, because it seems like the state is so far removed from us, I mean, putting aside us students, right? They don't care about us. But even a municipality government like right here, so far removed, how do we make our voices heard? And I was really intrigued by this issue. And so one thing that I was talking with my peers about, some of them here and then also some of them back on Vassar's campus and some other people back home and all this stuff, was, well, what if a bunch of municipal governments start passing some sort of resolution, non-binding, no sort of legislation, but basically a resolution that says, we want change. What happens then? We did some research and it doesn't happen. This kind of approach towards reform never happens. It never comes, there's always this distinction. We live in a federal society. There's federal government, state government, municipality. And so we're thinking, why isn't there dialogue? Why can't we as a municipality say, oh, wait a minute, the town of Poughkeepsie, maybe the city of Poughkeepsie, if we put them together, that's 75,000 people. We want reform. We want to change things. We want to, we want to never let what happened to the number 2 or 3 in command of the New York State government. What an embarrassment. What an embarrassment. And I'm a lifelong New Yorker. I mean, my parents moved to Connecticut now, but I'm a lifelong New Yorker. What a disgrace. What a disgrace to me. And he's supposed to be representing me. And so I kind of think, well, what can we do? And so I guess I'll let my colleagues speak a little bit, but I was really intrigued by this issue. And so I hope that perhaps we may be able to work something out and maybe we can make the town of Poughkeepsie have their voices heard, because I think this is something that may benefit everyone in the town especially. But I'll let kind of my colleagues.
Yeah, so essentially I was just going to talk about the nuts and bolts that's in the Section E of the budget.
Okay.
So essentially, Cuomo has put into the budget a piece of legislation that would work towards campaign finance. And one such way to do that would be a public financing of elections. So essentially what that does is you can boost the voice of small money. So as big money is a huge problem in the campaign financing.
Especially with Mr. Silver. He liked big money, apparently.
Yeah.
So essentially, when you have candidates that are beholden to a few wealthy people and they can donate thousands of dollars, it's pretty natural that they will stop listening to the people. So what you can do is you can boost the power of small money. So essentially what the budget has in it is that 6-to-1 ratio. So for every dollar, say under, I think it's like $250.
I think it's about 175 in this version. So it's, I think
175. So for example, if I donated $100 to a candidate, it would be matched by $600 from the state. So my donation would become $700 effectively. So what that would do, it would be candidates would be more beholden to their people and be a way of putting the people back into government essentially. Any candidate that would want to do this, some of the arguments are that, people are just going to become candidates and take money or something. But essentially to do that, you would have to have 100 donations. For example, in 3 other states have this right now. Arizona was the first, and Maine and Connecticut are 2 others. So what Arizona has is to do that, you need 100 donations that are exactly $5 to show that you have intent, basically. And other states you need a $10,000 limit to get opt-in to this. And so then you need a declaration of intent, you need qualifying contributions, and then once you're into the system, you need there are regulations on how to use it, on how to spend it, and there's a cap from how much can get matched. And the research shows that it's very cheap. The estimate for the New York would be about $2 to $5 per person per year for this. So it really is cheap, and I think the most effective way to think about this is that you're paying for democracy. It seems to be a no-brainer that one of the first things we should do is ensure that the candidates that are running the government are beholden to the people.
And spending less time fundraising and more time actually doing their job.
I think the estimates for how often federal and state candidates are spending raising time is like a third of their time raising money. Like a third of their time is just extraordinary in my opinion. If you could have if you could have 8 hours more a day to, talk to your candidates, see what the issues are, and make decisions, I think, we would all benefit. So, yeah.
Okay.
I would just like to address some of the more common concerns regarding that part of the budget. Number one is the constitutionality of it. We've already seen there's a Supreme Court precedent, several in fact. This does not constitute anyone's speech being limited. This has nothing to do with like capping the amount of money that you can give to a political campaign. It's merely boosting up, I guess, the influence that the little guy has. It also does not constitute a tax increase on the state level at all. This can be taken from the New York State budgets. You don't need to find any new sources of revenue. There are things you can do on the state level, save the state government some money, then use some of that money for this end.
There's a novel idea. Save some money on the state end.
Absolutely. And over time, it does seem like this is increasing the role of money just because you are adding more money to the system. But there are studies that indicate that over time, this will actually shrink the influence of money. When you have that tied, it doesn't matter so much the differences. And so over time, we've already seen this in a very short amount of time in New York City, as well as the states in which this has been passed. The role of money has decreased substantially, and we would see an almost immediate effect on the platforms of the candidates running for office. There are studies that suggest that they would align more closely with the views of the median voter, and we would see direct results here in Poughkeepsie.
Well, you'll be happy to know there's already been a reaction to this, because as candidates or our political committees have treasuries that we have to report every transaction to the Board of Elections, the State Board of Elections, and they have really cracked down. They're making sure that the filings are done and done on time, which they had kind of gotten lax the last couple of years. So yeah, there's been a strong reaction already.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good first step. I wouldn't suggest otherwise. But I really do think that, it'd be really great if we could try and get a little something, some real pressure on the legislature. I have a copy of what the city council, Poughkeepsie City Council is considering at this current moment, as well as multiple studies, which I'd be more than glad to give the council here to look over.
Great. We'll take a look at it.
And I would be more than happy to answer any concerns either now, any other questions now or in the future. Because I know there's a lot of support for this. Overwhelmingly, people do support campaign finance reform, and it's a nonpartisan issue. That's the best part about this. It doesn't matter which side you're on. It's really kind of the thing that, Arizona is the first state. Arizona, deep red, and you know what, the voters there, they tried to take it away, and they said no, because they love it there. Almost everyone is publicly financed there in Connecticut and Maine. They love it.
No, we'd like to take a look at what you have. Appreciate you being here. You're obviously well-spoken and can articulate your position and opinions very well, so we definitely appreciate you being here, and we'll... I have to admit, we've got to, I, for one, have to research this a little bit to see what it's all about, but
I would be upset if you didn't.
Sure. No, we appreciate you coming tonight. Thanks.
I thank you all for listening, sincerely.
Thank you for taking an interest in government and how we operate. Not enough young people are doing that today, so thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming in.
We should see afterwards.
Sure. Yeah, you can just hand them out now. Doreen, did you have anything? Come on up.
From last week, I had the question of Mr. Nelson. I asked if he would review Town Code 210-151H in regards to the tree removal at Fairview Commons, where they wanted to remove the trees before the final site plans had been signed, and I was against that, and I wasn't sure if the planning board had that authority, and there was also some letter of consent, which I had not heard of. So anyway, I know the meeting was canceled for last week. There was going to be a special planning board meeting on this, and I've been checking the website, and I haven't seen anything come up, so I wondered if you had any update.
I know that meeting was canceled, and I don't know that it's been rescheduled. My understanding, but I'm not certain, my understanding is that it's not proposed to be rescheduled.
But in terms of,
Not.
and I don't recall, I don't know if we spoke about this, but in terms of whether the planning board, I think the question was, do they have the authority to make an exception to the tree removal? Is that
Right,
correct?
yeah, it was, right, I worded it
Did you
as,
get a chance
can they
to look at
provide
that?
relief?
I started looking at it the evening of the meeting, and then it dawned on me that on that Fairview project that Josh Mackey has been handling the representation in the litigation and before the board, because a member of my firm is involved with the folks who are doing the project. So quite frankly, when I spoke to Neil, and the meeting was canceled, and I didn't research it any further. And if I had, it's the kind of thing where, had I finished it, I certainly would come to the town board in executive session and brief you up on what my opinion would be.
Okay, so basically, it's not rescheduled at the moment?
No,
And
It's not rescheduled. March is going to end before there's a meeting. They can't cut the trees
Well,
because
actually,
of the
there's a
bats.
planning board meeting, I believe, on the 19th, Thursday, the 19th.
I'll get back to you.
I'll
find out.
Not reschedule, I
Okay.
can, at this point, I can tell you that.
Okay, and, well, thank you for that. And then the other question was, when Mr. Balkind from the county was here for the DeGarmo Bridge project, and I had asked if they were going to adhere to the town wetlands ordinance, and that night he said that he wasn't sure if they needed to comply with the town's ordinance, but he would check on it. And he did get back to me, and we had several emails back and forth, and he said that after reviewing the town code and the project details, the county attorney's office issued an opinion that the county did not need to secure a permit from the town. But what I didn't understand was, I asked him, was that because they decided that a permit was not needed under the town's ordinance because it didn't meet the threshold? Or was it because the county did not need to adhere to the town's ordinance? And the answer I got back, I'm really not sure what the answer to that was. So does anybody know?
I'll let Mr. Nelson answer that. Leaders.
Thank you. I did speak with one of the senior assistant county attorneys today. There's a case called Monroe County Airport Authority, under which, when there's a question as to which governmental entity takes primacy as far as running a project, governmental entity can go through a balancing of interest test. And the county has apparently done that, and considering the permitting that they received from Fish and Wildlife, their jurisdiction, which is exclusive as far as the reconstruction of that highway, they're getting their DEC permit. The interest in having this project completed for safety purposes, the county's position, which doesn't surprise me, under Monroe County, is that they are exempt from having to apply for that permit.
Okay, thank you. Because he sent me an email that said based on a series of tests, but it wasn't clear what the real answer was, so, okay. And, I'm not saying that the project shouldn't be done, I'm just concerned about the fact that it does sound like a lot of trees removed. That night he said potentially, their estimate was half an acre. And, and again, that's an area that's already flooding, and
Have they
I guess-
started anything over there? I haven't been
Not
by.
that I've seen. I actually wrote to him as well, because I have some concerns about the removal of the trees, and he had just responded to me just earlier today, which I had sent to Doreen, because I wanted her to be included in it, because I appreciate her comments. And my feeling was, living in that area and knowing that creek so long, I really felt like the removal of these trees was going to cause a lot of erosion, because that whole creek bed is a very, very soft bed. So he did say in that letter, I briefly looked at it, that they were going to leave the stumps and the root system through there to help prevent that. He feels that everybody on the county level did their best efforts, and they feel that my interpretation was appreciated, but not of concern. They feel like they've addressed all the concerns with it, which
I wonder if they can get in there and cut it at this time of year with I mean, the water's got to be rising at this point.
Well, and they
with
also have the
snow
same
melt.
tree removal restrictions, because if they don't have those trees removed by March 31st,
right.
because it's the
That's what I'm thinking.
endangered bat habitat, they can't cut it until October.
Can't imagine it's gonna make it any easier
after,
with
so-
the creek getting.
Yeah, and I proposed if you could leave the trees, just take the foliage down and take the, the trees, just leave the trees, but take all the brush off of it, and they didn't feel like that was something that they were gonna do.
Okay, thank you. Well,
Thanks, Doreen.
time will tell what happens there, so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks. Anybody else? All right. That brings, anything from the town board?
Yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
Be it resolved, the town board of Town of Poughkeepsie is hereby adjourned in executive session to consider the following matters to wit. 1, litigation to discuss litigation strategy of the case known as Hildekar. 2, confidential communications between the attorney and client, the town board based on attorney-client privilege. Be it further resolved, there will be no action appropriating money, so moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion, town board adjourns to executive session at 7:45.